Hi, welcome to the Normal America Show. I'm your host, robnoerr. Let's get right to it. Wouldn't that be funny if I just started the show like a normal show? Didn't sit here and bullshit for like 10 minutes. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? No, that's not how we do things. We pad it out. Pad it out. It's another one of those nights. Everybody's streaming tonight. I got a bunch of competition out there. Andrew Wilson streaming, Speakeasy streaming. Somewhere there's some sitcom that's on. I think it'd be pleasant if everyone just agreed. All the television networks, all the streamers, they all agreed 10 p.m. Eastern or around thereabouts, they just stop and let me be the only game in town. That seems fair. I have main character syndrome. That would be fair, right? Yeah, those guys all suck. Everyone. Hate them. Those guys are the worst. I'm just kidding. Those guys are all great. I am happy to be here tonight. It's a weird one for me. It's a weird night for me. I'm in an empty house, just me and the dog. My son's at his grandma's. My wife's at a surprise birthday. I think it was a surprise birthday party for a friend. I didn't like. It's so weird. Streaming's a bit weird because generally speaking, most of the people I know in real life aren't really watching me. Like my wife will tune in, but that's about it. Like my parents aren't watching. My brother watches. But let's say that we're having a surprise party for my neighbor. I could probably say it on here, and my neighbor's probably not going to hear about it. But what if he did? What if he was tuning in and I was like, "Oh yeah, we're having this party," and then I ruin it because I'm running my big mouth here. So I try to keep things secret, even in that sense. Like, I suppose one of my wife's friends could be watching me. Probably not, though. They're busy watching Love Island or some bullshit like that. Her friends were watching a show the last time I saw them. I think it's on Netflix. And the premise, it's one of those dating shows. And here's the premise of the show, okay? They're like on a little retreat, like a little tropical retreat island stuff. And they get to spend time. There's like half men, half women. And they get to spend time with like the opposites and find one that they like. And then they go out on some dates and whatever. All right? Normal shit. But here's the twist. You ready? Here's the twist. You're not allowed to know the other person's age. They could be anywhere from like 20 to 65. And so then once they decide they want to date, they have the big reveal. I'm actually 42 years old. I'm actually 22. And then with an age difference like that, can the relationship work? Dumbest shit I've ever seen. I'm just like, are you kidding me? There'll be some like old man with clearly like gray roots in his hair that, you could tell the makeup department tried to like dye his hair real quick before the show. It's like, what a crazy thing. Oh my gosh. Next week it's going to be crazy. Jim's with Samantha, but here's what's crazy. Samantha's the same age as Jim's daughter. Oh my goodness. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you tonight's show is going to be no better than that. We're doing drama. Ooh, kind of. Not really. Somewhat. And then if I suppose I could be pressed. Well, Jeremy Ryan, I'm going to make you debate the topic for the 10 p.m. time slot in VK someday. Prepare the arguments and stuff. My goodness. Thanks, man. I might head over to Verbal Combat. I just don't know. Who knows? Who knows what time holds for us? Yeah, Love is Blind, Moldy Hex. I know of that one as well, where they like talk to each other through like a wall, basically, so they don't get to know what the other one looks like. It's all so dumb. So dumb. Thought we'd talk about some. There's this video from Ben Shapiro, sort of talking about the celebration of the New York. Is it New York Post? New York Magazine, I think, wrote a piece that was similar to a New York Times piece, like the beginning of the end for the Dailywire, basically. And they're like, weirdly enough, though not that weird if you think about it, buddying up to like the Ian Carrolls, Candace Owens, Tucker, Nick Fuentes crowd. Why? Why would these main left-wing mainstream places be celebrating more right-wing figures than Ben Shapiro? Do you think the average lefty is more likely to be a Nick Fuentes or a Tucker Carlson supporter or like them more than Ben Shapiro? Why is that then? Why does that seem to happen? We'll talk about it, and I think it's not a surprise if you think about it, and I think Ben Shapiro nails it. So we'll talk about some of that. I was going to analyze a debate discussion tonight, but I ultimately started to watch it, and I don't know. I'm a little slap shy when it comes to TOS of YouTube. Try not to get in trouble. This video used some harsh words to describe sexual crimes many times as it's pejorative, throwing it at people, calling it. But it was Destiny basically debating Chud Logic and some others people. You hear that Avarice is going to be on my show tonight? Is that true? I never know. I'm just a humble streamer. I just come on and hit record or hit stream, and that's that. I never know what's happening. So we're going to cover that. But there's like all this infighting going on the left, on the right, in the streaming world. And then we do have news on the other Shapiro as well. We do.
He harasses women in messages, has a weird infatuation with men's organs. He's a syndicated radio host, and it's all about respect. He's Brian Shapiro.
Yes, we have some Brian Shapiro news. Yes! Should be fun. And then maybe I'll go debate. There's also actual news out there. Maybe I should be talking about it. I think this ruling, the Supreme Court ruling on this trucking industry is huge. Basically, it removes liability from truck companies that were hiring people that they had reason to believe were illegals. So formerly, you couldn't sue them the way the law was interpreted. The Supreme Court, in a 9-0, pushed back against that, which is pretty crazy. Looking at a couple stories here real quick. I'm loving this new, the new meme, like, I don't know, like joke format where, so if you've been following Christopher Nolan, a fantastic director, I think. I like a lot of Christopher Nolan movies. He's doing The Odyssey, which happens to be one of my favorite fictional stories. I enjoy The Odyssey. So I hadn't been this excited and then let down about a movie since the Napoleon movie with Joaquin Phoenix. Did anybody watch that? I was very excited. I'm a fan of the historical figure Napoleon, and I like those sort of period pieces like that. Of that, it's right up my alley. A type of movie that I would watch, and I never got around to watching it because basically people were like, it's basically a slap in the face to like Napoleon, and it's just like makes him look like a total loser and like sort of just pining for some woman in a ridiculous way. It's a shame. It's a shame. Now, to be fair, one of the things that happens, how do you know? Like, I don't consume near as many movies or things like video games or comic books as I did when I was younger. So, a lot of times, like, I'll tell you right now, I saw Star Wars Episode 4, 5, and 6 when I was a kid, the originals, right? Then I saw the prequels. That was like coming out when I was in high school. And then I was sort of excited when they brought the franchise back for, I think it was called The Force Awakens, which would have been Episode 7. So the beginning of the new trilogy. And I went and I watched it, and I was like, meh, it's okay. It wasn't horrible in my estimation, but like I was like, oh, it's just basically almost a scene for scene retelling of the original Star Wars movie, Episode 4. It's switched some characters around, but it's basically the same journey. It's just new characters. And it was a bummer that, spoiler alert, that they killed off Harrison Ford. That was a bummer, Han Solo. But that was it. I never watched any Star Wars shit after that. I didn't watch The Mandalorian. I didn't watch the 2 Star Wars movies. I didn't watch Rogue One. I didn't watch... I mean, there's a fucking bazillion spin-off shows. But I didn't watch any of them. And importantly, I didn't watch... I forget what even the name... After The Force Awakens, it was... The Last Jedi? And then The Rise of Skywalker? Is that the name of them? I don't know. But I didn't watch them. But I'll tell you, they suck because a bunch of people that I have tended to agree on movie takes that I see online or people that I know in real life that have similar movie takes to me told me it sucked. And they explained to me why. And I was like, yep, that sounds like it sucks. But to be fair, sometimes you can watch something and it's like, there was sort of, it surprises you. Maybe it didn't suck. So I don't know. But I didn't watch Napoleon, and I probably will never get around with it. And I'll probably not watch The Odyssey because it just seems like, I think what really is going on, I'm sure Christopher Nolan's some woke lefty, I don't know. But apparently you have to meet certain diversity quotas in order to be eligible for an Oscar. That's funny. Pisco's literally crying. Literally? Really? I doubt he's literally crying. I saw him. It looked like Pisco was the other day saying that maybe we should pack the court. Whatever, dude. Good luck to you, Pisco. You know what the worst part is? I actually liked meeting Pisco in real life. I thought he was a very fun, likable guy. I'm not rooting against him. He happens to have an ideology to destroy this fucking country. But, anyways, back to this. So, the Odyssey movie that now they got Ellen/Elliot Page. Rumors are is playing Achilles, which is asinine. Then some black ladies playing Helen of Troy. On an individual scale, when it comes to this shit, you could be like, it doesn't really, on its own, might not ruin a movie or anything. But I'm just to the point where I'm just going to vote with my fucking eyeballs. And I'm like, fuck you. Nope. Fuck you. And it's totally arbitrary sometimes at my point. There's shit that people are like, well, that's woke. Why you're doing it? I'm like, because I felt like it. Oh my goodness. You took your kid to see Paw Patrol movie? Paw Patrol is woke. Do you know what the one writer said? I don't know. I didn't look into it, I guess. But I ain't going to watch fucking Odyssey. Fuck them. There you go. That's my feeling. And maybe I'll miss out. Maybe it'll be fantastic. But I just don't care. And it's a shame because sometimes movies that it later seems like were good fall victim to sort of an over broad brush. But the woke shit is so insidious that I feel like sometimes a little bit of a broad brush is better than not. And so, for example, by all accounts, I've never watched it yet, but the movie Furiosa was pretty good. It had other things going wrong with it. A Mad Max movie without Mad Max. Like, if I go to the theater to see Superman, and Superman's not in the movie, I'm going to be like, even if it's a good movie, I'm going to be like, well, that's odd. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know that I went to see this movie. If we had Superman, what's his little Jimmy Olsen? Superman, a Jimmy Olsen story. And then Superman's not in it. You're like, Well, that was a pretty cool movie about a newspaper boy. No connection to Superman. Bit weird. But yeah, Furiosa, then, aside from that, it had the female boss babe, woo, female lead action star. Yay. But from what I've read, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't like that. They didn't make her like a Mary Sue that was like, she's just whooping everyone's ass by herself. It really wasn't like that. And I heard it was a decently... I did like the... I like the old Mad Max movie, but the one with... oh, shit, why can't I think of his name right now? Tom Hardy. The style of it was really cool. I liked the style of how it was shot. And Furiosa looked like it was a similar style, so I don't know, though. Anyways, this is a long way to go about. If you look up the Ellen/Elliot Page meme format now, people are just inserting Ellen Page into all these movies. So the best ones, I don't know if I could show it because it shows someone being killed, but the best one is they inserted her in the movie Troy. And the scene at the beginning where Achilles goes up against this huge hulking dude, and the dude throws a spear at him, and he just dodges it and swings a sword once and takes the dude out. They put Ellen Page there, and the spear just hits her, and she's dead. It's I saw the Terminator, Rocky. It's very funny. It's very funny. It's the man of avarice. $50 says, what the fuck? 50 minutes of no donos to get Rob on VK? What's going on? Well, I'm just talking about nonsense. All right, let's get into the real shit, right? What do I start with even? Let's start with this Ben Shapiro Daily Wire video. Now, it's probably a fucking risk. The last time I played a video from X, I got shit on. And Ben, I'm going to defend you a little here, Ben Shapiro. So, if anyone from the Daily Wire is watching, have mercy on me. Last time I tried to do a show, it was Tucker's show. I tried to analyze it. It didn't work so well. So this is fair use. I'm clearly commentating more than the audio. Now, what Ben's going to talk... You see, this is what I hate. When I share screen, I wish it took me to this screen. Now, if my editor's watching, or anyone else, let me know. Is that what we're looking for? We're looking for a square screen with me. I think that looks good, but we'll see. Ben looks pretty smug there, doesn't he? That's funny. All right. So here's what's going on. There were reports that the Daily Wire had to lay off a huge percentage of their workforce. Shapiro claims that number is 13% here. I don't have reason to doubt that, and I'm not sure that anyone's really pushed back on that number. I don't know. The way that it originally, I had heard the story from people that are not favorable. Is they made it seem like, oh my gosh, they're firing most of their staff. And for me, it's well, it's still a big number. It really is. Oh, wait, I gotta check a message here. That's a big number. 13% is still a big number, but it's not it's not the biggest thing in the world. It's not that they laid off 80% or anything. And, there's been some things going on at the Daily Wire. It's undoubtable. I think their influence is waning when it comes to online. The views are waning. You're not seeing as many viral clips of it. What happened? Well, in my estimation, I think that it's pretty unanimous. Jeremy Boring, that was formerly I don't know if he was CEO or what, he's out now. I saw him say today in a video he didn't want to leave, but they've been pretty silent, and I'm going to talk about that. Does anyone know why Jeremy Boring left? It sounds like, reading between the lines, that maybe Jeremy Boring was interested in some projects or in charge of some projects that didn't pan out critically or financially in the way that maybe the rest of the Dailywire folks wanted. So, for example, they were doing a TV show based on like Merlin, and they had done some movies. Obviously, Matt Walsh's movies did tremendous. This sort of documentaries, like What is a Woman? But so it sounds like maybe they got over their skis. You're a project, or you're a company that's sort of a media company that specializes in politics, and you want to branch out to other things. You take a risk and you spend money, and it didn't work. So you lost money. So now you got to contract. In addition, I think that Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire epitomize something that really is something I've been focusing on, and it's a true phenomenon, which is when you're coming at things from the position of the angry outsider, it's easier to get sort of viral attention. Like, for example, we looked at this the other day. What is like the Gallup approval numbers on Congress? It's like 15%, 20%. Forget about the president just for a minute. Just look at Congress. The vast majority, as a whole body, our legislative branch is like at best 20% approval rating. So if you're a streamer that's like, well, let me defend that, you're probably fighting an uphill battle. And so the momentum's usually going to be with the people, if things aren't going great, with the people on the outside looking in, the ones that are critical. Now, for a lot of streamers, for Nick Fuentes, for Candace Owens, for Tucker Carlson, for Ian Carroll, they've set themselves up where they'll usually be able to position themselves from a position of like, we're the outsider. We don't like the way things are going. It's never our guy, or if it is our guy, they betrayed us. And so you always get to be like, it's not enough, not enough, not good, not good, not good, not good. Ben, I'm going to defend Ben. Now, let me be clear, just from the outset. There are things about all these people that I think they do better than others. There's ups and downs with all of them. Ben Shapiro, in my estimation, there are a lot of like sort of the more foreign intervention-y, traditional establishment Republican things that I don't like. So like the global world police stuff, I think he's more on that than me. I think that he was very slow to get on the actual corruption against Trump in the first term train. He was, for me, the comment that always stuck was never attribute to malice what you could attribute to stupidity when it came to like the FBI investigation against Trump and the Mueller report. Meanwhile, I thought the evidence was there all along of how corrupt this was, Bland. Sometimes the show seems bland. And let's be honest. He definitely has a focus on Israel, and seeing as how I'm someone that thinks, I'm not hyper-focused on Israel, but I'll be honest with you. I think that Israel has too much influence in our country, as do so many other foreign countries, and I'm tired of it. Ben is someone who's completely sympathetic to Israel, to be honest. Now, here's the thing. If you've learned one thing about me, it's that I truly am a simple man. I have isolated what I think the biggest threat is, in my estimation, to my family, my community, the people I care about. And it's sort of left-wing politics in the United States. And further branching from that, sort of globalist. I know, the other day I did a video and I said the word globalist. And everyone's like, we know what you mean, Jewish people. We know that's what you mean. No, that's not what I mean. I'm not talking about Jews. Certainly there can be Jewish people involved with that or Zionists involved with that. But there's also other groups. I think that it's not as simple as it's just Israel, bad guy, and that's about it. I think there are all sorts of institutions, countries, blocks, etc., that are pushing for things. But the general push for like sort of a one world country where borders don't exist and natural pride doesn't exist, I don't think that's exclusively an Israel or even predominantly Israel thing, in my estimation. So I'm willing to work with people that I think are pushing in that right direction. And the easiest, simplest way to do so right now, the easiest way, in my opinion, is to fight it back against the Democratic Party. I'm a simple man. And look, maybe if Nick Fuentes is watching, or Candace Owens, or Ian Carroll, or anyone like that, I don't know why they'd watch Lowly Old Me, but if they are, I would just say this, right? Like, it's like, I'm fully admitting to you that I'm not the highest IQ guy in the world, and I'm not like the greatest historian in the world, and I'm not the greatest philosopher in the world. I'll admit, okay, and I'm open to hearing arguments, I am. But I like to sink my teeth into a battle that I could see. And here's what I do know. All of the waxing on that we want to do about, well, what about foreign interventionism? And what about this country's influence? And what about this country's influence and this, that, and the other? That's fine. I don't begrudge anyone any of that. I know this. I could watch almost every mainstream member of the Democratic Party at this point saying, when we get power, we're packing the courts. We're going to consider ending the Electoral College. We're going to add D.C. and Puerto Rico. That's the end. That's it. That's the end of the country as we know it. It does not get, it is not fringe anymore. This is the mainstream position of the Democratic Party. That's it. That's the threat. Open borders, seizing your guns, censorship online, of disinformation boards. That's it. That's going to come for you if you're the Dailywire guys. That's going to come for you if you're Nick Fuentes guys. That's what we're staring at. So that's where I'm going. That's my focus. And I'm willing to work with people on the right, and hell, even people on the left, to push back against this current Democratic Party that is pushing for that. That's what I'm willing to do. Now, I have my opinions on all these people, and there ain't a one of them. Even people that are friends of mine like Andrew Wilson. I don't completely agree with Andrew. We have differences. But that's my push. That's what I'm trying to do. If I'm honest about Ben Shapiro, we probably agree on 90% of political things. The disagreements may be important, such as how much aid should we give to Israel, etc. But I think we probably agree. And I'll go one step further. And this might be controversial. And it's so funny that when I say this, I'll almost guarantee that I'm going to piss someone off in the audience. And to me, I don't think it's my opinion. I don't really have proof of it. I think Ben Shapiro seems like a nice human being. That's what I think. I think you see a lot of people in this landscape, even if you agree with them, even if you're willing to work with them, even if you think they're effective, they might be kind of a shitty person. I don't get that vibe with Ben. I don't get the vibe that Ben's the dude at the Republican convention that's, claiming to be all pious and then he's going out to the strip club and hooking up with hookers and stuff. I don't get that vibe. You never know, to be fair. And to answer your question, James March, let me be honest with you. Like, I'm not Andrew. Andrew could argue with whoever he wants. I have my own thing. Xphobic says 2016 Ben Shapiro didn't vote for Trump and said it would be better for Hillary to win. Nick didn't vote for Trump in 2024. So what, So I'll say this. I used to shit on Ben Shapiro a lot, particularly when I first started streaming, because the issue I was most focused on was like Russiagate. Oh, I don't think that's true at all. I think I've been, I have people close to me that I think are like really tell me like, what the fuck are you doing? What grace am I not showing Nick? I'll say it right now. I'll say this about Nick Fuentes. I don't know that Nick's as nice of a guy as Ben Shapiro. But Nick's more entertaining than Ben Shapiro. He certainly is. Nick Fuentes, like him or hate him, fun to watch. He is. He's very fun. It's entertaining, man. He is. He's charismatic, and he ain't dumb. He's not stupid. Nick Fuentes is saying vote Democrat. Ben Shapiro's not. The central group I'm pushing against is the Democrats. I'm willing to give Nick Fuentes the benefit of the doubt and most of his followers that I think they just have a plan that I disagree with, that I think is misguided. But ultimately, I don't think that they want ill for me and my family and people in my community. I think they just have a bad idea of how to make things better. On every important fight we've had on the Ben's been on the wrong side of. Like voting Democrat in 2026? Is he on the wrong side of that? Is that Ben's position? No, that's Nick's position. So if I'm talking about now, was Nick's position to support Trump in 2024? No. Nick's position was to not support Trump, and Ben Shapiro's position was to support Trump. So it's not the right side, Exo, but look, maybe we'll go through some of Nick doesn't have the answers, man. We'll get to that. We'll talk about that next. But Nick didn't sound so good with his planning on Steven Crowder's show. Nick's plan is, we don't know. Maybe someone will come. Maybe. I'm sorry. I'm not willing to take the risk of handing the country over to the Democratic Party to pack the courts and end our country as we know it. Because maybe Nick Fuentes has a plan that maybe he hasn't told us about, that maybe a person will come up. He did not smoke Crowder. It wasn't particularly close. It really wasn't. But I understand a lot of these groups don't like each other. I put Nick high, like way higher than I would like someone like Candace Owens. You know? Why am I not telling Republicans to pack the court now? Because that would have also trigger basically a simple one. By the way, is there no sense of strategy? Okay, so let's plan this out. So we tell Republicans to pack the court now. All right. First off, will they? No. They won't even pass the SAVE Act. So Trump comes out and says pack the courts. Here's what would happen. He's not going to get the courts back because there's already enough people in key positions in the Republican Party, particularly in the Senate, that he would need to confirm these justices that wouldn't do it. So now Trump loses all the political capital and the high ground by pushing for packing the courts, and his own party won't do it. They'll be like, no, we're not going to do it. Okay, that's number one. Second, what would be the utility of packing the court? What is the major decisions that we would then take to the court? Tariffs? Birthright citizenship, which hasn't been decided yet? Now the Democrats have the high ground and they say, sweet. Now, a lot of people, a lot of independents are going to go, holy fuck, what just happened? We're going to vote Democrat for sure. Democrats get in. Now, no matter how many justices Trump wants, Democrats control. They ain't going to confirm any of them. Democrats get to run on 2028. Trump is a psychotic authoritarian that for no reason whatsoever decided to come out and try to pack the Supreme Court. Now it's do or die. The Civil War is on. Whoever wins the next election, they take it all. What is the point? Where is the strategy? And this is the problem with so many of like Nick Fuentes and his fans. It's just, well, whatever. We don't care. We don't care. Do it right now. Pack the court. Why doesn't Trump just arrest every Democrat in the country? Just do it. Just do it if that's what the stakes are. Just do it. I don't understand, like all of this stuff. It's like, I'm willing to hear someone out. All right, what's the plan? We vote Democrat 2026. Yep, okay. All right, Democrats win in 2026. They win. Okay, they have the House, they have the Senate, key governorships, yes. Okay, now what's the plan? Well, now something's going to happen in 2028. There will be a new candidate for the Republicans that'll win. Okay, who? We don't know, but there'll be a Groyper. It'll be a Groyper-friendly president. How? How will this person do it? Where is the cash flow coming? Where is the donations going to come that we're going to get a Groyper president? All of the infrastructure is there that if Trump, that one, it's probably still going to be a MAGA candidate. It's going to be Rubio, Vance, etc. Second, if it's not that, the infrastructure that's still there is going to lean towards the old establishment party. So you're going to see like Paul Ryan, Mitt Romney, those type of people that would rise up and be likely to be those sorts of people. Now, I was actually shocked. I actually thought when Nick was asked about that, why are we talking about this? I was going to get to this later, but I was shocked, and I'll just be brief about this. I was shocked when Crowder was like, okay, who is it? Who do you got in mind? Nick doesn't have a clue. I don't know. I don't know. See, well, as long as it's not Rubio or Vance, that's the key thing. Hit all the keywords, right? Jew, Israel, Palantir. Got it. See? We know. Here, I'm sorry for you all. Let me help you out here. Jews. Now I'm good. Now I'm speaking the truth. You're not the only one there, Xphobic. See if you could see anyone above that talked about Jew Epstein war fucks. See if you can find that up there. Anyways, I've sidetracked. We were going to talk about the Steven Crowder, Nick Fuentes thing in a bit. So, anyways, there you go. That's the Nick Fuentes spiel for now. Now, Ben Shapiro, a guy I disagreed with mightily on issues, just like I'm willing to give Nick Fuentes the benefit of the doubt that I actually think he wants what's best for the country and we would agree on a lot. I feel the same about Shapiro. There have been key things that he's disagreed with me on, but it seems to me that he has created a media empire online that helped push conservative causes largely, and he seems like a decent guy to me, and I'm not rooting for them to fail. And so when you see people that are like, ha, Ben Shapiro's failing, it's like, I don't, I understand why. And you'll hear Ben say, so I don't agree with everything Ben's saying in this video, but I thought it'd be interesting to watch. So let's do it.
Well, hello, everybody.
Hi.
Sometimes here on the Ben Shapiro Show, we cover the news, and sometimes we are the news here at the Daily Wire. Well, over the past few weeks, the Daily Wire, you might have noticed, has been the subject of a bunch of hit pieces, like a veritable cornucopia of hit pieces. There was one from the Washington Post, and there was one from Puck, and then finally, there was an especially ridiculous one from the stellar journalists at New York Magazine, who literally plagiarized their hit piece from the Washington Post. So much journalism.
Now, I don't know about this, I have to be honest, but I do know that this is a trend that you're seeing in mainstream media now, where it's like basically you'll just have one outlet say a story and then a bunch of other outlets don't actually create their own story. They just basically copy that story and put it out as their own work. But nonetheless, keep going.
High-level journalism. Well, this morning, that New York Magazine piece is lighting up the interwebs. It's lighting up X. Well, New York Magazine claims there was a time when Ben Shapiro could reasonably call himself the king of all conservative media. I don't remember that time, but it sounds cool. He said that's all.
I mean, okay, he's being a little facetious there. I don't think, would you have said that he was the king of all conservative media? I don't know that I ever viewed the Daily Wire as like supplanting Fox News. I'm not a big Fox News fan, but I think if you ask most people, like, what's the biggest conservative media, they would have said Fox News. But certainly, other than that, I think that, yeah, there's a claim to be had that the Daily Wire, especially in the online landscape, was the sort of normie and big conservative outlet online. So I think that's fair.
All over now, the Daily Wire is instituting significant layoffs. Ooh. Well, according to New York Magazine, the future of conservatism isn't traditional conservatism, like free markets, like equal rights before law, like checks and balances, like traditional virtue. That's done. The future, according to New York Magazine, is Nick Fuentes, confirmed Nazi stan and woman hater, and man who will never be able to get a human woman pregnant through natural means.
Now, one thing that I think is funny is how Ben's leaning into Nick being gay and the cat, into cat boys and stuff like that. I actually think that's funny, which is good for the goose is good for the gander. Trust me, Nick's made jokes about Ben that I think's funny as well. But you can understand how they're sort of diametrically opposed. And what you're starting to see is, and I think Shapiro's right about this, and I think Nick would agree as well, that it's sort of a fight for the heart of what is the conservative party, and, he's highlighting that he does not believe that Nick, he goes with the Nazi thing, whatever. I mean, certainly Nick's given enough ammunition for people to make those claims. I would think a fairer criticism of Nick isn't that he's a member of that party, but that he's sympathetic to the view that Israel has way too much power. And that's clearly something that's going to put him directly at odds with Ben. I'm somewhere in between. I'm probably closer to Nick on Israel than I am Ben Shapiro, but I don't think that Israel's the root of all these problems. I don't. I think that it goes too far and it's too simplistic. So, anyways, we'll continue.
Or Tucker Carlson, confirmed anti-capitalist and Muslim apologist and victim of demon scratching, or maybe Candace Owens.
Now, I will say this, of all the things that Tucker has done, Tucker's been, I think he's, lately there's been some stuff with Tucker that I'm I don't know. It's not the same in my estimation, but today I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe. Did you see who Tucker's guest was today? I'm not going to play the clip because I don't want to get censored on YouTube, but Owen Benjamin. A guy that, I don't know, in my estimation, it's pretty crazy. I mean, I can't say that I've gone down the Owen Benjamin rabbit hole too much. I heard him saying some terrible things about my friend Andrew and their children, but I'm just okay, whatever. But all right, so Owen's on Tucker today. Great.
Owens, the confirmed slanderer of widows and connoisseur of French testicles.
I mean, you have to admit, it's pretty funny. Connoisseur of French testicles, pretty funny. I like it when Ben's being a little funny. He's got the the nerd funny going on. I think it's pretty good. I'm get him, Ben. Kind of funny. Yeah, I mean, Candace I put in low estimation as opposed to these other people. I see the intelligence and utility of a Nick Fuentes. I definitely see intelligence and utility of a Ben Shapiro. Most of the people I do. I don't know what's going on with some of the Candace stuff. I just don't. But
or maybe Megyn Kelly, click whoring Grandma Groyper over there. Well, New York Magazine
Grandma Groyper, it's funny.
Writes, quote, the collapse of the Daily Wire can be seen as a dire warning for traditional Republicans. There are two realities to Shapiro conservatism in 2026. It retains a significant foothold among Republican elites, and it is being fast rejected by the future grassroots of the parties. First of all, that's just wrong. By the polling data, the positions that we take here on the show are reflective of the broad majority of Republicans.
Now, this is interesting. So there's two conversations going on, and both have merit to them. The first is that the Daily Wire is waning in influence. That's absolutely true. It is. From their high point, there is no doubt about it. They've waned on their influence. That is absolutely true. And so when you hear Nick and other people saying, like, we're winning, they're losing, they are losing the share that they had of sort of the online conservative media space. That's undoubtable. But how does that translate into on the ground, like, opinions and action? And it's hard to know. It's really hard to know. I have to remind myself that I'm in a bubble, and all of you watching are in a bubble as well. We are in the online media space. We're either watching or we're creating. We're here. And when you're in it, it feels maybe more important or more expansive than maybe it actually is. Like, there's a woman I know in the town I grew up in that works the polls, and she was diehard, like, you know, voter, conservative voting. I think a Trump supporter. She's probably 70 something now. How much could she reasonably tell me about Nick Fuentes or Ben Shapiro or Andrew Wilson or Destiny or Hassan Piker? To her, it would just be like, huh? Who? She might know, like, Greg Gutfeld or Brett Baer. Or there's an even better chance that she's like, I don't watch any of it. That's pretty clever, Lunar. I see you over there. I'm not going to tell you that my mom works the polls as well, you rotten bastard. But, and so I think what happens is, like, for example, forget about all this. Like, we're infighting right now. There's people all there. There's the Jaceberg people that are like, yeah, but, and Nick sucks, and this person sucks, and this person sucks. Then there's the people that are like, actually, the Jews are very important, and but Nick's great, and Ben Shapiro sucks. Then there's people like, all those Jacebergs are nuts. All right, we're all fighting here. We're great. We're a happy family. Awesome. Right? So let's take it out of here, and let's go to someone that maybe everyone in the chat would be like, how influential is Hassan? There's an amount of influence there. I mean, it's not zero. But despite the fact that he gets a lot of oxygen in an online space, and there's a lot of viral clips about Hassan and stuff, is it translating into, like, real world? Like, you say he's influential in Democratic politics. But, like, how would we compare Hassan to someone like Mark Elias or, you know, any number of other of not really big online faces that are working, like, in the Democratic Party when it comes to actual influence of, like, voters? So for me, it's like, I don't know. I think the people that are just like, X isn't the real world, and these social media spaces isn't the real world, and they have almost no influence, I think they undersell it. But I also think that sometimes someone like me oversells it because I'm here and it feels important and it feels like all these people I'm talking to know all of this, so it's all influential. So then let's look at, like, the Groypers. I don't know. I tend to think that at this point, there's not a lot of, like, ground game influence changing the opinions of, like, the majority of, like, the Republican voters. I just don't know. I could be wrong. And I think it certainly shows that the Overton window is moving that direction. But is it that far? I don't know. And so what Ben saying here is, listen, if you look at all the polling, we're way closer here. Our general positions on the Daily Wire are way closer to the average Republican voter than Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens or Megyn Kelly or Tucker Carlson. And I suspect he's probably right. So I don't think that he's necessarily wrong here, but I understand the other side of the argument, which is totally true, that they are waning in influence in these online spaces.
That's just the reality. But I figured that we should address all of this head on. So it's true. The Daily Wire laid off some 13% of our workforce since the beginning of the year. And that really sucked. It was truly sad because all those people are great. And anytime, we're in business, anytime you lay people off as a business, that really sucks. It's tough. It's bad for them. It's bad for us. And I'm personally working to find other places of employ for as many of these people as I possibly can, because everybody who we let go deserves a job somewhere else. They're great folks. But for our critics, this was all cause for massive celebration. The joyful popping of the corks, or maybe in the case of Nick Fuentes, a victory celebration with cat boys and lubricant. And listen,
again, cat boys and lubricant. What is Nick's explanation, by the way, for that? I've seen the little video of him out with the cat boy. I don't know what was happening there. I assume it was a joke. But anyways, do you think that typing it in all caps helps? Is it possible that people just have different opinions than you? Who are you taking money from? Is Israel paying you to look like an insufferable asshole? Is that what's going on? Who are you taking money from? Methinks probably not from anyone, because it doesn't seem like you would have an intelligence or the couth necessary to be influential to anyone. So I doubt anyone's willing to pay you. You know how stupid it sounds that fucking everyone that you disagree with, they must be on the payroll for someone. Who's paying Andrew? Andrew's position's very simple as far as I know. I haven't watched all of his streams. I don't particularly like the Iran conflict, but I don't think it's as bad as people are saying. It's still early into it, and it's certainly not enough to get me off the bandwagon to all of a sudden throw up my hands and say, well, let's let Democrats take over. And for that position, he's being paid by who? Give me some guesses on who you think's paying him. Israel? You think Israel's paying him? Is that what it is? Did you think that, like, I don't know, what'd you think? If you just kept typing it in all caps? I don't know, man. Why don't you go over to Andrew's channel and ask who's paying him? A lot of people, his donors that really like his community. I guess that's who's paying him? They must all be Jewish as well, right? You don't have to ban him, are we not, man? I just, like, I don't understand. Don't ban him. Then the guy will run around saying, oh, Rob knows that fucking Andrew's taking money because fucking, I brought it up and he fucking, okay, good. I'm glad you didn't. Nah, I'm asking you a question, man. You tell me, what is unreasonable about that position that it must be that someone's taking money? That's basically my position. You think I'm taking money from Israel? You want to see my house? I live pretty modest in my second floor attic. Yeah, I got you. Wait a minute. I don't understand that, like, you could be like, yeah, man, I think that position's dog shit. I hate it. Okay. But it's always, you must be being paid by Israel. Who's paying you? Oh, it must be Israel's paying. Of course, I don't know. Hypothetically, I'm friends with Andrew. I'll say this. He never pulled me in a back room and was like, by the way, Netanyahu's paying me huge sums of money. I guess I don't know. But I fully trust that he's giving his honest opinion. Andrew has $1 million house. Correct me if I'm wrong. Andrew moved before the Iran war. So was this a nefarious plan? Let me see if I got this straight. Netanyahu knew that he was going to convince Trump to go to war. And so he set the stage by contacting Andrew Wilson, giving him millions of dollars so he could purchase a house continue to do his normal streaming, knowing that months down the road, the Iran war would happen. And now he has Andrew strategically placed to say, I don't like this war and I don't particularly like Israel, but I'm not going to all of a sudden not vote for Republicans because of that. Shrewd plan, man. Mr. Netanyahu, wow. Truly a mastermind. Amazing. I promise I'll read super chat. I don't know why people can't just be like, I think Andrew's a piece of shit. I think his opinion's dog shit in this. But it has to jump to, he must be being paid. It's the same with me. People say the same shit to me. I'm like, it's not possible that the very first day of the Iran conflict, I didn't like it. And so what I decided to do was, we'll stop the Ben Shapiro stuff. I'll talk about the Ben stuff in a minute. The very first day, if you watch the stream, it's so insufferable. The people are just so damn insufferable, right? Because I tend to be hyperbolically negative in the moment. So when something happens that I don't like, I always have to remind myself, like, my gut feelings would be like, fuck it, I hate this, you know? And it's like, take a moment. Take a moment and say, how can I try to make a dispassionate, as best as possible reflection of this situation? And so what I tried to do was this. I said, let's start, because my gut feeling is I'm against the Iran war, which, by the way, I still am, right? But that's my gut. So I say, let's try to build the case and then see if I can knock it down. Let's steel man and see if I can knock that down, right? So I start with this. I'm like, are there any, in my worldview, would there ever be a case for when we could launch a preemptive strike against Iran? What would that look like? And so I was like, well, let's say that Iran was actively trying to assassinate our president. Yeah, I could understand attacking. Or let's say that Iran was imminently getting a nuclear weapon and we had evidence they were going to deploy it, U.S. interest. Yeah. Now, that's it. How long did it take me to get through that? A minute, maybe? Yeah, I spent like 3 hours on that because every time I started to say anything, anytime, people are like, you sold out. And I'm like, I'm not even giving you my conclusion. My conclusion is, I don't believe we have evidence that there was an assassination imminent. I don't believe we have evidence that there was a nuclear weapon imminent or that it would be deployed. So I say there is a possibility that I could say that this was a worthwhile attack, but I don't see the evidence for it, therefore I'm against it. But I couldn't get to that point because the people like this guy here are so much, it's the Jews, it's Israel. Oh my God, how couldn't you just immediately light your hair on fire and go, it's Israel, it's the Jews, oh my God. And it's like, let me finish and I'll get to where I don't like it. No, you sold out. When did Israel pay you? We trust in the New York Times. It's always funny when, what do you think of the reports of the New York Times and the Washington Post that have lied about everything, that they've maintained 70% of its stockpiles? I don't know. I think that Nick Fuentes is a Nazi because the New York Post or the New York Times and the Washington Post told me that as well, right? I don't know. It would be a failure if we've stayed that long and we've only diminished their capacity 30%. It would absolutely be a failure. And it's just amazing. It's just the constant. Trump's bad. What do you think about the fact that Trump's bad? Oh, and Trump's bad. What do you think about that? And what do you think about the Jews? And what do you think about the fact that the Jews? How about the New York Times says that the Jews? New York Times says that Trump's bad. Did you see the New York Times said Trump's bad? Nick's a good guy and Trump's bad. Did you know the Jews are bad? By the way, Nick's a good guy. Do you know Trump's bad? The New York Times say that Trump's bad. Hey, what about those Jews? They're bad. How about Nick Fuentes? He's a good guy. Ben Shapiro's bad. Did you hear about that, Rump? It's just a constant stream of just absolute bullshit. You settle down and you do something good. I didn't say they have no good reporting ever. I immediately pointed out the hypocrisy of how you wouldn't trust the New York Times if they were attacking the guy that you follow, and then said, but if that's true, that's really bad. See how that works? You try to treat people with respect. Like, I did the same with the Candace Owens people. Oh my God, Rob, you're just a fucking little bitch. You're not prepared to handle Candace Owens' arguments. Okay, man, let's hear it. Okay, you ready for this? There are these planes, okay, and they're from Egypt, okay, and they were in the air above Erica Kirk. Okay. I rest my case. And I'm like, wait, what? I'm willing to hear you out. Let's hear it. Same thing here. Nick's got a big problem. Let's vote Democrat. Okay, man, I'm willing to hear the plan. So who's it going to be? Who's coming up in 2028? Well, we don't know. We just don't know. But trust us, bro. It'll work out. Trust us. It'll work out. And then people get real pissed when you're like, I don't know. That sounds shitty. I don't think that I should vote for the people that are basically telling me, hey, we're going to pack the court and end this country forever. And you're like, yeah, you should vote for them because something good will happen. Trust us. We don't know what, but something's going to happen. It'll be good. How am I selling my soul? Who am I involved with that's evil? Andrew? What are we doing? What are we fucking doing? I would like to know who are the evil people I'm involved with. Wade Boggs making me play whip songs? Like, what are we doing? Ben Shapiro's basically making the case. What I wanted to get there was that basically all of these mainstream outlets are now super sympathetic to like Candace Owens or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Tucker Carlson or Nick Fuentes. They're sympathetic when it comes to attacking the Dailywire. And he makes the claim it's because they would rather those people be the face of the new Republican movement than Ben Shapiro because they know that will be easier to take down. And I think he's right. Now, I'll make the counter argument. Isn't that the same argument that Hillary Clinton and so many of her allies made in 2016? Hey, let's hope that Trump wins the primary because he'll be easy to beat. So maybe they're making the same mistake. Yeah, screw Ben Shapiro. We'd rather it be Nick Fuentes or Candace Owens' party. They'll be easy to beat. Yeah, CX-phobic me. But I think there's key differences. Trump had so many advantages that those other groups aren't going to have. Trump's an independent billionaire. Trump, even Nick, who I'll admit is crazy charismatic and funny. He's very, very funny, Nick, but it's not like Trump. Trump had like even 10 times more than Nick Fuentes. Just the spotlight's always on him. It just sucks up the energy, everything. It's all about him. And like that charisma, the years of like relationships on television, the billions of dollars, all of that shit, it put Trump in a unique space where he was able to be a powerhouse even outside the scope of the traditional infrastructure. Like, I don't want to do this. I wish I could, and maybe I will someday. But I'd love to go to like my local Republican meetings or the polling places. Maybe there's even laws against this. So I wouldn't do it, and just show you around. Just look at the people, the infrastructure of the Republican Party. And there's two areas that I'm talking about particularly. The funding aspect, right? Where's the big funding coming for the Groypers? Where's it going to come? I'm honestly asking. I'm open to it. I'm telling you right now, I'm not shitting on Nick saying Nick's an evil piece of shit, Nick's a Fed. He may be a Fed. I'm not convinced. I'm not saying that. I'm taking at face value that Nick's a dude like me who probably agrees with 90% of the issues that I have, and we just have a vast disagreement on how to go about solving it. I'm willing to accept that, and I'm certainly willing to accept even beyond that many of his supporters fall into that camp. So I'm not shitting on it like you're a fucking immoral sack of shit, and you're not hearing me hyperventilate about like he's a fucking Nazi. I'm not doing that. I'm trying my best to like let's hear it out, just like I did with Candace Owens. And I'll fully admit I find Candace way less likable and terrible than Nick, right? That's just my opinion. Anyways, less intelligent as well. So I'm trying my best. I'm like, okay, man, Let's hear out the plan. Let's hear out the plan. How you gonna get like some big donor that's gonna be Groyper? I'm really curious. Who's it gonna be? Where's the money coming from? How are you, unless you have a billion, like unless you have a Mark Cuban or an Elon Musk that's going to be the Groyper candidate. And when I say Groyper, I don't mean he's going to call himself Groyper, but that he's going to be the anti-Israel candidate. I don't know where it's coming from. I don't see these traditional donors or like the tech bros or whatever that all of a sudden are going to be like, we're going to take a big chance here. Yes, that's true. They don't need funding. The candidate will need funding. But they have a purity test for that candidate in a radical different direction from what they want that candidate to be. And my question is, where does that candidate get money? Because the Groypers are the ones telling us, vote Democrat. Okay, that's terrible. Voting Democrat's terrible. Even Nick admits that. And we'll get to some of these clips here of Nick's interview with Steven Crowder. So Nick admits, of course, Democrats worse. Yes, it's bad. Yes, of course. I understand the risk, he said. I understand the risk. So you have to have a reasonable expectation. You can't be like, we're going to do this and then a candidate will come. And it's up to that candidate to figure out all these problems. Well, that sounds like a really ill thought out plan. If you're basically like, I just have faith that some ubermensch will come along and he'll figure it all out. He'll figure out how to run in 2 years by 2028. What are we doing here? So the funding's the first problem. The second problem is you need sort of grassroots. Now, let's accept that there's certainly motivated people that follow Nick Fuentes. Absolutely true. And I'm assuming our friend Xphobic here, I'll give the benefit of the doubt. If Nick was like, hey man, where you at? And you're like, I'm in Nebraska. Would be like, can you get out there? Can you knock on doors? Can you put up yard signs? You seem motivated, you'd probably do it. That's great. People should do things like that. But even all the people that listen to Nick, that's nowhere near enough of what you'll need. And when you see the beating heart infrastructure of like all of these people that are in like your local Republican, your county Republicans, the people that do all of this stuff, that's like a ground game. I can't picture the little grandma at the fucking bake sale being like, yay, Groypers. I don't see it. I don't know where this ground game comes from. Now, I'm absolutely willing to hear out like, hey, we need a radical change in direction. But can't we all admit that if that radical change in direction is a really high risk, could give Democrats power forever? Because if they get in power and pack the courts and shit, that's it. If the risk is that high, then we need some like, look, this has a really good chance of success. It's a well thought out plan. And I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing just, I don't know. We don't really care. We don't care. Fine. It's this or nothing. It's this or bust. Again, Xphobic's just like, the candidate will motivate people. The candidate will raise all the money. Who's the candidate? We don't know. Someone will come along. So because Counterpoints publicly took money from, what was the name of it? Progressive Victory, that proves that Andrew must be. Do you have any evidence whatsoever? Let's pause the Israel thing. I put my biz on your drum set, okay? Give me your best evidence. You're making a serious allegation about a friend of mine. Fine. I'm willing to deal with it. Absolutely. Give me your best evidence that Andrew Wilson has been paid for his position on the Iran war, which as far as I can tell is as follows. I don't like the conflict. I think Israel has too much influence. I'm just not willing to throw away the Republican Party and my support for Donald Trump over this. Show me your best evidence that Andrew's getting paid by some nefarious organization for that opinion. He may be. Let's see the evidence. Oh, it's balls on the drum set. Yeah. I know it takes time to type, so we'll give the guy time to type. Andrew was against assent being pushed to Ukraine, but we have war with Iran, and he says, "What you gonna do about it?" Yes. In fact, we don't have to use Andrew. We could use me. Yep, I agree. I was against sending even 1 cent to Ukraine. I'm not happy that Trump didn't do that. I didn't want to go to Venezuela. Wasn't happy that Trump did that. Didn't want to go to Iran. Not happy that Trump did that. And so I'm getting paid now because I'm like, well, despite that, and I don't like those things, I think there are gains. I think Trump secured the border almost immediately. I think that we have net negative migration. I think that almost all jobs created have gone to U.S. citizens. I think thanks to him, we've had Supreme Court victories that are going to last generations. Chevron deference out the window. Roe v. Wade out, done. Voting Rights Act gutted. We're seeing maps being redrawn that ensure that we keep these crazy fucking lefties out of power that are trying to destroy everything this country stands for. We're starting to see charges brought against groups like these Somalia daycare people, the hospice things, Act Blue, people like Comey, people like Morenz that was attached to Fauci. We had a whistleblower come out the other day and was speaking about how Anthony Fauci specifically ordered the cover-up of all evidence that showed that this came. Now, are all these things perfect? No. But I'm supposed to pretend okay, I'm not supporting Trump now. So you have to say, Iran war, that's it. Okay, that's too much. We can't support Trump. We can't support Republicans. Who are we supporting? What's your plan? Who are you voting for in the midterms? Andrew said, what you going to do about it to justify it in the sense what can we do? It happened. Okay? Now, your argument is that I must be being paid for that opinion. That some Jewish organization or Netanyahu is paying me for that opinion. Stay home in the midterms. Why wouldn't you at least try to vote third party? Don't justify Trump, justify Andrew. Andrew's position as far as, this is what your claim is, his take on the Iran war is. And I quote, what you gonna do about it? That was it. That's his claim. So you want me to justify Andrew saying, what you gonna do about it? One, I think you're lying. I don't think that's the extent of Andrew Wilson's take. Second, I think you provided zero evidence whatsoever to suggest that he's being paid money for that opinion. None. Third, I think that my summary of his opinion is probably closer, that he's closer to me, that it's look, I can't change it. I didn't like it. I still don't like it. But it's not enough for me to overlook the benefits that we've got and continue to support this. So I think you're a liar. I think that you're intentionally slandering him because, quite frankly, you're probably a piece of shit loser. That's probably what's going on. And you don't have an argument, and you just want to yell, but the Jews, and that's the extent of most of the people like you that make those arguments. You just flat out make shit up. I assume Andrew's being paid because of his opinion, which you incorrectly analyze what his opinion is. Yes, I just did that. We just covered that. You're too stupid to get it. Let me talk slower for you because maybe you spend so much of your intelligence bitching about the Jews. Maybe it's just that you're a dumb fuck and it's not the Jews that have made you stupid. So let me try to talk slowly for you. You ready? Yes. Saying that you didn't want something to happen, but then it did happen and there's nothing you could do about it, no, is not mutually exclusive or show that you're a hypocrite or you sold out. See how that works? You ban people. Who did I ban? Now the victim. Now he's the victim. Next, you're going to tell me that what? You were promised 3,000 years ago to be able to chat on my channel? Is that it? Are you in some sort of perpetual victim class that you need special treatment for now? Oy vey. Just ban people. I'm talking to you now. You come in and you slander someone and say, they're taking money for their shitty opinions. I asked for proof. You can't give it. Now you could immediately, once proven how stupid your fucking position is, you go, but I'm a victim. Why would you ban people? Worthless person taking up time and space, slandering people without any proof. When people take your argument serious and go through it, you ignore it, just repeat yourself like a fucking child, and then immediately resort to, but why would you ever ban people? Victimhood. You sound like a fucking lefty. That's what you sound like. All right, if we dealt with that, can you just say, I have no proof? I have no proof that Andrew's getting paid. Thank you, sir. Appreciate the fucking time. Now, let's go to the other guy, who's not as ridiculous. I think you and Andrew don't understand the gravity of the Iran war. I understand this is a Nick argument. This is going to be like apocalypse, World War III. I get it. You're under the assumption that we could bomb them and just leave. Yes, I am under that assumption. Yes, you're absolutely right. I am basically under that assumption. Yep. What do you think happens? I think ultimately there could be an increase in terror attacks. It's something we're likely to see, and it's a reason that I didn't want to go there in the first place. And oh, okay. I need people, if you're addressing me, make sure you say me, Lisa. I sound like someone's foot is up my ass. So I assume that's Lisa and Danny. Is that what you two get together? Feet up asses, huh? You know what that sounds like, huh? I remember when my man was shoving his foot up my ass, I sounded like Rob. Well, I have no feet up my ass. Thanks for the guess, though. I guess I'm either being paid by Israel or I have a foot up my ass now. Interesting. Now, Rhetorically Defective had a very good video on the Nick Fuentes, Steven Crowder exchange. So I saw this, so I'm just going to point this out. I'm not necessarily highlighting Rhetorically Defective's arguments. I just want to highlight the clips. It's the easiest place I know to find the timestamp clip of Crowder and Nick Fuentes here. Now, at this point in the discussion, we've already heard Nick say, we don't know who the person would be, who's going to come up and be the replacement. We don't know. Right? So, and he said it was risky. But now, this is the other part of it. So, what would this candidate look like? Who could the candidate be? Because we all know this. We all know that there is no perfect candidate, that none of us, if we're free-thinking people, will ever have a candidate that is completely, I did watch the whole thing, ex-phobic, that will completely agree with us. So, if you have a purity test that is only someone who thinks 100% like me is worth supporting, then you're never going to get a victory because the chances are there's not going to be that person, right? So here we see Crowder is going to be like, all right, let's see how pure of a purity test this is.
Could have these carved out positions, and Nick would support this candidate.
So my stance is, let's say it's me. All right, shut down the border, mass deportations, build the wall immediately, completely shut down H-1Bs. I'd put a $500,000 fee on it in case someone's bringing in the next Elon Musk or Nikolai Tesla from El Salvador, for God's sakes. I don't know. Something that wouldn't affect a multi-million-dollar salary. Of course, we'd continue with the Supreme Court. I'd enable states to have more authorities that deals with abortion restrictions, so I don't know how much more I could do that at this point. Tariffs on certainly industries that are taking advantage of us so that they are reciprocal. I would do my best to onshore jobs by basically going the opposite of directions like NAFTA. I'd punish companies that offshore them, incentivize them to onshore them. I'd have tax cuts across the board, but certainly middle-class families. No more foreign lobbying organizations. And no more blank check to Israel. And of course, no more money to Ukraine. I would pull us from NATO until everyone meets their payments.
Needless to say, I would vote for President Crowder. That's all based. I mean, I'd have to listen slowly to see if I could nitpick anything, but basically that sounds like damn near a dream agenda. I would put in disbanding the FBI, some things like that. More investigations against the corrupt people. Sounds good. And furthermore, I think Nick would agree with almost all of that. Okay?
But maybe I think that Iran is a threat. Could you vote for me?
Well, again, it's like, do you think Iran is a threat?
That's a very realistic candidate. Could you vote for me?
Okay.
Could you be a part of my coalition?
Here's the problem. You go to war with Iran. What does that mean? You say, well, we'll give them 3 months. It's like, how are we going to win this one? Gas prices are $5, $6 a gallon. Strait of Hormuz is closed. Israel is chomping at the bit for us to reignite the war and expand it. It's like, are we getting into another Iraq? Are we invading Iran? Are we nuking Iran?
I'm asking you all those other things. In other words, no candidate is perfect. You've bitched about the purity test a lot lately. Let's reduce it.
Is that purity to say I don't want to war with Iran?
Yes, that is purity. If you're saying you don't want war, first means attack.
I'll link this video.
I supported the military intervention in Iran. So all those other things. There's a Democrat who was to the left on all those other things, but was vehemently against Iran. Could you vote for me? Could you be a part of my coalition if I want to take back the White House?
See, I don't know what the value of the thought experiment is. A war with Iran is not a purity spiral.
I'm trying to figure out what matters most, because candidates who may magically appear need to know what the purity test is for 2028, because we still don't have a name or description. Well, I'm saying someone like me, I should meet the purity test, except for, you know what? I'll give it 3 months in Iran. But everything else.
Okay.
Would you vote for me?
Then that's assuming, again, that you can bomb Iran and then walk away. We're going to bomb Iran a little bit, but not like, is that what's happening? No, we're stuck.
Could you vote for me?
No, I can't.
Okay.
I need a...
That's it. That's it. Now, Xphobic has no clue. It's not going to be 3 months. This is going to be Iraq. It's going to be Afghanistan. It's going to be 20 years. It's going to be 7 years. So if we had literally everything else. Now, look at what Nick just said. He acquiesced to everything Nick would want. We would literally deport every illegal. We would stop every H-1B. We'd build the wall, all of it. But nope, the war that they have no idea how it's going to end. If you were like, actually, I supported that. I'm sorry, I can't vote for you for president. Sorry. Nope, we're against you. Okay. Good luck. Good luck. Who's your candidate going to be? Democrat? Democrats, no war? Now, look at the Biden administration. Look at the Obama. Okay. Neocon Trump. Who's it going to be? Who's coming? Yes, I've put time to analyze it as much as you all have. You are making educated, in your opinion, guesses. You have no idea how it will end. None. If I asked you at the beginning, we're going to attack Iran, 2 months in, how many troops will be dead? You'd have been like 500, 600. So far, it's been 13. Terrible, yes, but you don't know. You have no clue. It is entirely possible that in the next month, that Iran's leadership comes to an agreement, and that agreement opens up the strait, and in the next 15, 20 years, we don't go back to Iran, and they're not developing nuclear weapons. That is entirely a plausible outcome. You have no idea. And the fact that it's like everything that we've talked about for wanting forever, secure borders, manufacturing in the United States, deporting all the illegals. Nope, Iran war. I don't know how it's going to end, but I wouldn't take that. I wouldn't take all that stuff. I'd vote for the Democrat that'll mass import people. How is that America first, by the way? It seems like Nick, like if I could steal man Nick's position, it seems like it'd be something like this. Well, if you really look at what's going on, it's going to be very difficult to change their leadership. Historically, when we've gone and used aggression, but we haven't like completely wiped out or had some sort of color revolution to take over, what tends to happen is the regime that takes over is even more hostile to the United States. And it may be very difficult to get access to sort of all of these nuclear sites. So it's entirely possible in 5 years' time, we may have to go back to Iran. Furthermore, if they are hostile to the United States, then they could do things like continue to shut off the straits, which will cause perpetual increase in gas and prices like that back on the pump. And there could be an increase in terror attacks. If I steelman the position, that's the gravity of what we could be looking at. It's true. Some of those things could absolutely be true. Could be. Even if all of those occurred, it still pales in comparison to the benefit of completely stopping illegal immigration, deporting every single illegal. Pales in comparison. Pales in comparison. Not even close. It's not even close. You would have to be like, Iran launches a WMD against the United States. That's the level that it would require. Instead, we get these very simplistic, well, you just haven't analyzed. Like, you think we'll ever be done with this? Like, ever? No. Like, it's going to be horrible. In what way? Oh, Iran's not going to give up. Okay, so then what's the consequence? Oh, trust me, though, bro. It's more important than securing the border. I'll tell you that. Okay. And it's just like so many people, like, it's fine. Nick can have his opinions, but so many people just parrot it. Well, Nick told me that, like, the consequence, you're under viewing just how serious the Iran conflict will be. Nick said that, so there. So vote Democrat. I don't get it. Yeah, okay, exophobic, that's not the argument that Nick just made. I believe Steven Crowder when he says, do you believe Steven Crowder when he says he would push for mass deportations? Now you're making but you can't do it because of political capital argument. How would you feel if you didn't eat breakfast this morning, exophobic? Having trouble with a hypothetical there, are we? What we're trying to do is evaluate purity tests for positions. And Nick's purity test is, if you support the war in Iran, no matter if you agree with me on every other issue, I can't vote for you, I can't support you. And I would rather support with someone who is against me on every issue, the border, trans and kids, censorship, all that. I would support them if they were against the Iran war more than that former person. See? Exophobic can't feel it. But I did eat breakfast, Exophobic says. I did eat breakfast. What do you mean, how would I feel if I don't? There you go. That's it. It's literally that simple. He outlined it. Nick didn't say, to Nick's credit, he didn't shy away from the hypothetical. He didn't try to play games like this. Well, you wouldn't be able to deport if you would. He didn't. He said, yes, I accept the hypothetical, and no, I still wouldn't support you. I always get one guidance, Shannon, pretty bad. Well, no one's asking you to write an essay. I'm responding to the things you've written. Well, I should read super chats, but that's the gist. Like, and for me, it's just like, I don't understand. Like, to me, it's like, I'm actually, I'll be honest with you. I am actually shocked how little details Nick had in his plan. I'm shocked. I thought there'd be even the Nick followers here tried to be like, well, it'll be Joe Kent. And for Nick to just be like he hadn't thought it through, who's it going to be? Who's the candidate? I don't know. Isn't this risky? Oh, yeah, it's very risky. How's it going to work? I don't know. We got to try something. He kept saying, let me reframe it. Let me reframe. And if I still man his position, it's like, yeah, Stephen, all of this is true. You're making good points about how we don't have details of this. But all I know is Trump and the Republicans basically on the key issue are the same as the Democrats. So it's a horse apiece. Who cares? Who cares? Only through radical change as to Groyper president will we ever truly have success. And so if that means the difference between your family growing up with a secure border and incremental victories, or your family growing up with Democrats that pack the courts and make these DC and Puerto Rico a state and take power forever and censor your children and hate them because of their skin color, ultimately it's really the same thing. It's really the same thing. Because in both of those scenarios, we have not condemned Israel. And that's what matters. Who is the open field? Who is it? Explain. How do you know that? How do you know that? Who would the open field be? Who's the candidate that's coming along that's going to replace Vance Rubio? Who's it going to be? Democrats win midterms 2026. Now, all of a sudden it's, well then, we have to get rid of Vance Rubio, so here's our guy. That guy's going to be Ron DeSantis, or Vance, or Rubio, or Don Jr., or Mitt Romney, or Paul Ryan. Who is the guy that's anti-Israel? Who is it? Name me one person in the Republican field that has a chance with that. Who is the person? It becomes more likely if the Republican Party starts to institutionally go against Trump that it goes back towards the Bush doctrine. How did they feel about Israel? Oh, right. So who's it going to be? In fact, there's a better chance that incremental victories lead eventually to incremental decisions that make foreign entanglements less likely to occur. But it's not going to be a snap your fingers and all of a sudden we're like, fuck Israel, they're the worst ever. And now President Jim Smith here is like, fuck you, Israel. We'll never work with you again. We're completely pulling out of the Middle East. It's not happening. It's not going to happen. And Nick just said that his purity tests would basically be as such, then we wouldn't support that person and we would continue to vote Democrat, which ensures if that plan falls through, the Democrats pack the courts and make sure that Republicans can never get another victory, which means that there's zero chance that we get Groyper president. Now notice, I'm not saying, fuck, Nick's evil, he's a fad, he's a Nazi, I ain't saying any of that shit. Especially with Nick's followers. Look, some of Nick's followers are absolute dog shit. But we all have our Wade ball. I thought that was a good joke. You can't control all your followers. I get that, right? I have no doubt that I would go so far as to say the vast majority of people that find Nick's message attractive are probably well-meaning people that are pissed off with the status quo and the displacement of the citizens of this country, opening the borders, this sort of globalist bullshit agenda, this woke left agenda. I'm willing to accept it. But it doesn't matter. Exphobic, to his credit, has been a fantastic foil in his time that he's been here. He hasn't done like I put my guy accusing me of taking money. He's just like, I disagree with you, which is completely reasonable. And nor am I doing him the disservice of saying that this proves that he's some fed or I'm not doing that. And I'm trying to look at the situation at face value and just being like, I don't understand how this plan works. I don't understand it. It's the same question, Owen Schroyer, who I like, it's the same question I asked him in the debate. Let's see if I can find this. And then I promise I'll get to Super Chats. And then we have another story to cover. Uh, all right. And if you were at this event, Owen hung out with everyone afterward. Like, it was very friendly. It wasn't like a antagonistic thing. Oh, wrong. I'm not that arrogant that I'll put myself there. All right, let's.
This was supposed to be. I'm taking the
as many questions as we can with the remaining.
All right, now this handsome man that's.
doesn't end. You can't just.
What was
say,
that?
Well, I'm incredulous. They may go up more. They're actually going down.
Oh, dang it. 1 second. I had it timestamped there and then I lost it. All right.
Are the women clapping for that? Good God.
What I have
Nobody
to do,
hates women like
I
women.
have to restrict you guys to just one response to each question, just to get as many questions in as we're running a little behind.
Oh, and Andrew said in his opening statement that one of the strengths of Trump was moving the Overton window. We just had a conversation about Republicans secretly hating Trump. I think I've seen you long enough, a big fan. You have a problem with the uniparty and the way things have been for years and years and years in this country. Given the fact that it would be impossible to even consider a fraction in that uniparty before Trump, wouldn't you say that that alone is a success of Trump? That we have a better chance, he's making small incremental gains now, but we have a better chance of actually having someone like me and you would say is much better in the future because of Trump. And wouldn't that be enough for you to consider him a success?
Yes, but I think the issue. I think the issue that we're going to face is we're 2 election cycles away from that coming to fruition. And
Now, obviously, Owen Schroyer is not Nick Fuentes, and Nick's answer may be different. But do you see the point there? Trump being there makes it more likely that we get a radical different candidate within the party in the future. Trump losing puts the momentum back in the sort of Mitch McConnell, Paul Ryan. Now, people are saying, but Trump is the same. He is not. He may agree on this sort of attack that maybe the old school people did, but he's different on the border. And there's a reason that these people are attempting to stab him in the back. There's a reason they don't want things like the SAVE Act, etc. That's the issue. The more that Trump's there, the more that someone like Nick Fuentes has a voice. The more that people that want radical different foreign policy have a voice. That's the issue. So not only do I think that there's no explanation of, well, wait a minute, who is this mystery candidate that comes when we vote Democrat? How will they raise money? How will they build a ground game? Not only is there no explanation, not only is there concession, yes, the Democrats are horrible and evil, and if they win, it may be the end of the game, and so this is highly risky. But I actually think that Nick and company actually have it inverted. I think that a Democrat win in the midterms makes it less likely that we get a president that's like, I'm less interested in doing foreign policy in the Middle East with Israel, etc. So Trump handed power to the establishment. So then why haven't they opened the border? Why hasn't Trump rescinded his executive orders to open the border? We know the establishment likes open borders. So if now Trump said, I'm sorry, establishment, here, you have power back. Why haven't they said, excellent, open the borders? Why haven't they said that? Let me answer for you. It's all part of their shrewd plan. You see, once you get to this level, everything, even things that Israel controls everything. So if a country, if a president does something that seemingly is arming Israel's enemies or sending money to them, that too is part of Israel's plot. Israel's plots to open the borders, the establishment's plots to open the borders. So when they close the border, it's part of their nefarious plot to open the border. I get it. I know. Now, I'm not scared of the comments of someone who besmirched my friend, right, and said that he's being paid, that I painstakingly gave time to. But you are correct that I was going to ban you for being annoying. See ya. So here we go. So here's the theory. The establishment wants open borders, but now they have enough. So they're happy to secure the border now because the open borders have already given them the victory they need. So really, Trump is just really, Trump, if they came out tomorrow and said, you know what, we need another 10 million, Trump would say, yes, sir, please. Yes, open the border. Yep. Then if Democrats win and they open the border again, what will this guy say? He'll say, oh, the establishment changed their mind and now they do need more people. They just changed it. It turns out they were wrong when I was telling Rob on May 15th, 2026 that they had enough. Now the establishment realizes they need more. All right, super chats. Big Daddy Pod, $2. Thanks. Says many of my favorite streamers are live. Here I am. Thanks, man. And then gives 2 and says, used to like Ben Shapiro. Not anymore. Shill. All right. And then gives 2 and said, cancel my Dailywire subscription when Peterson got sick. And then Daily Pod, it sounds like he's saying Ben is real first, like he's a real dude, but I think he's saying Israel first. Jason Mulgren, thanks so much, $10, says, have you seen Pisco justify packing the SCOTUS, replacing the VA Supreme Court and gerrymandering? It's pretty incredible to watch the gymnastic. He debated actual justice where. Yeah, I saw clips of it. Now, I want to dig deeper to see if he's literally suggesting packing the Supreme Court. If so, that's laughable, because he was someone that always said how dangerous that would be. Pisco hilariously has made argument like it's funny. What he'll do is he'll make arguments that gets himself in these traps that you could clearly see that there's a pratfall coming near future, but he's so interested in winning the moment that he can't see 3 feet in front of his face. So one of the things Pisco said to me before, and I'll have to find the clips of this if it ever comes up, but he's like, you can't support candidates or politicians that have done illegal things. You can't do it. And he'll be like this. I thought that when Biden rescinded the executive orders of Trump, that was illegal. I could never support him again. I couldn't, because it's illegal. If something goes through the courts and the courts rule it illegal, then that's illegal. And you can't support presidents doing illegal things or politicians. Okay, well then surely he doesn't support the Democrats in Virginia anymore. They did something illegal according to the Virginia court. Now, my impression on this is far more lenient. That's like, look, politicians could do things, even things I find despicable, that are then ruled unconstitutional at the state level or at the federal level. And that doesn't mean that they're like armed bank robber illegal. It means they tried something that was ruled unconstitutional, so it doesn't go into effect. It's not the same thing, but yeah, I mean, it'll be funny to watch him completely change his position. Big Daddy Bud, $2, says, I didn't vote Trump 2016. He wasn't conservative. Okay. Blaster Bud, $20, man. Thanks. Says, in the wake of Charlie Kirk, I was willing to give Nick a chance. Yeah, his comments immediately following Charlie Kirk were very good. As long as he dropped the accelerationism and didn't say to vote Democrat again. The Fed boy got his check and decided to support the Dems again. So he could just keep as a Dem. You know, I'm not saying he's a Fed, but, you know, certainly I think the accelerationism argument has merit. And I think that part of what's going on with Nick and the people around him is they might not say it vocally, but they'd be like, fine, if it's civil war, it's civil war. Let's just get there. Just pure acceleration. Let's make shit as bad as possible now. Either it's my way or fuck it. Let's let this shit get Mad Max. And that's an easy perspective to have if you're thinking very shallowly and what the horrors of that are and how the future for your children may end up very poor because of that. Vita, $5 says, BS, Ben Shapiro is better than Nick Fuentes in every way. Ben Shapiro married 4 kids, pro-Trump, against the left, trad values, pro-right. Nick Fuentes is on the exact opposite. W. Ben. I mean, again, I'm trying to be charitable to both of them. I don't understand how I'm not closer aligned with Ben Shapiro right now, given that Nick Fuentes' position is vote Democrat. That puts him diametrically opposed to me politically. Adam Adamant, $5. Thanks. Says Rob Noer's funded by the Big Whip Songs lobby. Of course, the rotten bastard. Naughty Germ, $5. Thank you. Always a pleasure, my man. Sears Site, $5. Thank you. Says, good evening, Rob. Thank you. And then the Legend Plasterbot, $100. Thank you so much. Says, I don't know, Rob. They figured out the whip song money laundering strategy where we use whip songs to hide how much you get paid to defend Israel. That 28-hour stream was actually the big check clearing and getting broken up and taxed by the Google machine. And then right on cue, Zach Gelpy, $10 says, sorry, it's me, my Israeli handler. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Adam Adamant, another $5 says, Rob, if I can get $7,000 from Israel, I'll pocket $3,500 and I'll use the remainder to purchase 35 whip songs. Yes. Thank you, I guess. Over on Rumble, Tinker Type Powers, thanks so much. $5 says, I'm late, long bar shift, and no server showed up, so I'm here. It made it. Here's for you, sir. Thanks, man. Thank you. Wade Boggs, thanks. What a legend. $100. Says a rough copy of the bylaws has been provided in the Discord. Oh, shit. Here we go. In the general section, you fucking psychos. Courtesy of the Interdisciplinary Council on Whip Songs and Official Wheel-Related Business, or, of course, as we call it around here, the ICWSOWRB. Of course. Yeah. Thank you, Wade. And then Zach again. Zach Kelpie, $10. Thank you. Says, I'm just confused about the so-called conservatives using the talking points of Code Pink. Well, that's Ben Shapiro's point, right? That, look, they're basically sounding like lefties, and then New York Times, Washington Post, all these places are like, wow, look at these people. They're interesting. The people that formerly were the biggest enemies. And now it's like, oh, interesting takes from these folks. Hellstorm, $10 says, this Friday after work, a beer hit my hand so hard that Brian Shapiro trying to start a legal fund for it. Oh, snap. And then Slam Sanderman, thanks so much. Says, God bless the state of our country and economy. It's truly disheartening. But I'm going to remain optimistic. It'd be harder without your rationale. Thank you. By the way, I want to say something. I'm not 100% right all the time. No. I'd say there's a better than not chance that Republicans lose the midterms. But it's not a dead giveaway. And I think that with all of the complaints I have of Donald Trump and Republicans even more, I still think that it's a net benefit to have them in power at this point as opposed to the Republican. If you argued against the Iraq war, these same people would have called you a leftist as well. It's a true point. A lot of the sort of people that pushed against the Iraq, I was a person against the Iraq war. It was on the right, and I get called a lefty from time to time. But I don't think it's just the war point. I think a lot of it has to do with you're a puppet of Israel, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of the anti-Israel rhetoric does sound straight out of a college campus, from the river to the sea type shit. So, all right, let's get on to the next portion here. Man, anytime you talk about Nick Fuentes or, this sort of stuff, it gets people very interested. Like, it saves up a lot of time. Now, I got a little clip. It's popping a little for some reason. For that, I apologize. But I have a little clip I want to show you. Everybody remembers this. Allegedly, as you were taking that woman's money, is that what you said to her? Why don't you show me your tits? Is that what you said? Is that some of the alleged abuse that you gave to that woman? Is that some of it?
You went personal with me when you lose a debate.
Oh, my goodness. Well, we have more Brian Shapiro news. We do. Now, of course, everybody knows that I'm a piece of shit. Everybody knows that I'm just streaming from my second floor attic. Everybody knows it. We get it. But Brian, Mr. Shapiro, he's big time. He's got a syndicated radio show. He's crushing life. And you don't want to know why? You want to know why he's crushing life? I'll give you a clue. Does anybody know? What's it all about? He's crushing life. You want to know why? I'll give you a clue. What is it? What's it called? Anyone? Anyone know what it's called? It's a little thing. It's a little thing called respect. That's what it is. I don't know if you knew this, but Jack Posobiec, Michael Knowles, they respect Brian Shapiro. It's a little thing called respect. In fact, maybe you'll remember this.
You know, I've had private conversations with Michael Knowles. Why would Michael Knowles invite me to his party? Why would we smoke a cigar together? Why would we do that? Why do you think these people on the right, Rob, invite me to these events? As you said, well, because you're just an easy pickings, right? You're just easy pickings, right? Rob, it could be that. Why would Tim Pool have me on his show all the time? Why would these people on the right have private conversations with me on the phone? Why would they? I'll tell you, I'll give you another hint, Rob. Respect. Respect.
It's about respect. You see? Respect. Of course, I told you about the message on my phone I received from Brian. This was on December 21st, 2025. He sent me this message. While I'm at AmFest debating Jack Posobiec and Michael Knowles and being invited to conservative parties and doing debates, you're stuck in your attic making hate videos about me. What a fucking loser you are. Laughing my ass off. Last you will hear from me, you irrelevant cuck. And I responded, Merry Christmas, Brian. But that, I'll be honest, it hurt. It hurt knowing, Brian Shapiro, he has everything in life, He's a syndicated radio host. He's crushing it. He's got a great taste in fashion, just an impeccable dresser, looks like he has a firm grip, But most importantly, you know what he has? He has respect. He has respect. Even the people that don't ideologically align with him. It's about respect. That's what it's about. That's why he had to DM me. He had to message me on my phone about how cool he is. He's going to parties. Of all people, Michael Knowles. Isn't that amazing? Michael Knowles. It's amazing, isn't it? Now, I know some people would say, now, wait a minute. Wait a minute. Maybe they just invited him somewhere to be polite, or he's an easy punching. But no, it's about respect. Never forget that. Now, Brian, he takes stacks today. He had a little something to say about Ben Shapiro. He says, maybe Ben Shapiro will rehire Candace Owens to save his POS company. When you hire imbeciles like Matt Walsh and Michael Knowles, this is what you get. Now, wait a minute. I thought he had a mutual respect thing with him and Michael Knowles. I thought there was some respect. It seems, where's Brian's respect towards Michael Knowles? Where's that? Where'd that go? Now, in my heart, I knew it had to be the case, seeing as how impressive Brian Shapiro is with his syndicated radio hosts, with these millions of people that watch him every day. 20 million people a day watch his syndicated radio host. I just deep down knew that him and Michael Knowles were best friends. That respect had to be so strong. And I just knew it. I knew that they had to be best. I mean, he kept talking about it every time. Michael Knowles, Jack Posobiec, respect. These guys are probably going to poker games all the time, shooting the shit. A lot of respect there, right? A lot of it. So it's like, well, that's a little harsh to see. A little harsh to see that he's says some words about Michael Knowles there. But you know what was crazy? Michael Knowles responded, as I knew he would. I knew Michael Knowles would respond because this is his buddy. Michael Knowles has such respect for Brian Shapiro, you know? So let's read Michael Knowles' response to his buddy. He's inviting to parties too, right? It's about respect. We know. Listen, can we just say this? Regardless of what we're about to read, we do know this, right? There's no doubt Michael Knowles is constantly inviting Brian Shapiro to parties and stuff, that it's about respect. They really respect and like each other, right? We could all agree on that. So whatever we're about to read. All right, we all agree on that. Here we go. Michael Knowles says, I'm bad at texting, so I apologize for never responding, but I noticed you messaged me 10 times over the course of 4 months, politely begging me, whom you now call an imbecile, to come on my show at what you now call a piece of shit company. What a strange new tone you've adopted. What? Wait a minute. Wait. It sounds like, if we're reading between the lines here, do you know how Brian Shapiro texts me and DMs all these messages and DMs Jake Rattlesnake all these fucking crazy messages and DMs Andrew Wilson all these crazy fucking messages and was DMing Sarah Fields all these crazy fucking messages and was DMing Rachel Wilson all these crazy fucking messages? Did I just hear Michael Knowles claim that Brian Shapiro was also DMing him all a shitload? How could that be? They're friends. There's respect there. Doesn't Michael Knowles remember that he was inviting Brian Shapiro to all of these parties because he respected him so much? Why is Michael Knowles pretending in this interaction that he hasn't been someone who's deeply respected Brian Shapiro and invite him all these places? Instead, he's making it seem like Brian was begging to hang out with him. Now, that can't be, because Brian, he was just on Destiny's show the other day saying people like Andrew Wilson and Jake Rattlesnake, and he said this about me before, we're begging. That's what we do. We beg people to interact. But it almost seems like that's what Brian's doing. It almost seems like he oversold his relationship with Michael Knowles, but surely not Jack Posobiec, right? Surely not Jack Posobiec. Jack's probably actually really respects Brian and invites him to a bunch of parties and shit, right? Surely that's the case with Tim Pool. It'd be a shit, you know. I will admit, I went on Tim Pool's show. Tim wasn't there, but a lot of his team was there. I mean, it's not like there was conversations about Brian Shapiro. That didn't happen. I know for a fact Tim Pool's crew really respects Brian Shapiro. Hey, keep it to yourself. That's crazy. Michael Knowles, what are you doing? That's crazy. It's about respect. God, listen to this. How could Michael Knowles type this? 10 times over 4 months begging, and now you're calling him an imbecile? The Brian Shapiro. Doesn't Michael Knowles know the truth? Doesn't he know this?
You know, I've had private conversations with Michael Knowles. Why would Michael Knowles invite me to his party? Why would we smoke a cigar together? Why would we do that? Why do you think these people on the right, Rob, invite me to these events? As you said, well, because you're just an easy pickings, right? You're just easy pickings, right? Rob, it could be that. Why would Tim Pool have me on his show all the time? Why would these people on the right have private conversations with me on the phone? Why would they? I'll tell you. I'll give you another hint, Rob. Respect. Respect.
Doesn't Michael Knowles know that? Doesn't he know? I think we need a full investigation into Michael Knowles is clearly misleading us. Clearly, this story is backwards. Clearly, it's that Michael Knowles has been pestering Brian Shapiro. Can I come on here, syndicated radio host with 100 million people a day that watch? Please, please, sir. Right? That has to be the real story. Because let me tell you something. It's a little thing called respect. That's what it's about. It's called respect. A little thing called respect. And I don't appreciate a respectable gentleman like Brian Shapiro, who is always misunderstood. He's always reaching out to people in direct messages, always. And it's always a misunderstanding. He's always the polite one. And it's other people pestering him. That's what it is. Because everybody respects him. Michael Knowles respects him. Jack Posobiec, respect. Tim Pool, respects. Why do you think that is? Why do you think? I'll give you a clue. It's a little thing called respect. So, I don't have connections. Not like Brian Shapiro. I'm hoping that Brian uses his connections. Maybe he could reach out to Jack Posobiec and Tim Pool and maybe RFK. He's talked to RFK. If he could reach out to some people and maybe get in the ear of Donald Trump, if we could get some sort of investigation into these slanderous comments by Michael Knowles, into Brian Shapiro. I think, I frankly I'm very disappointed in Michael Knowles here. Very disappointed why he would make this bullshit up. It's unbelievable. And I have to believe this, by the way. Look, it's a weird thing being a victim. It's a weird thing. I try to put on a straight face. I come out here. We all know the truth. Brian Shapiro asked to see my penis. And I'm ashamed to admit this, as hurtful as it still is. There was something that made it a little less painful about knowing that the guy that demanded to see my penis is well respected by Michael Knowles. There was something a little less hurtful about that I knew Michael Knowles respected that guy. And if that's not true, I don't know what to do. How can it be that the guy that demanded to see my penis isn't respected by my guy? How's that even possible? It's about respect.
Humbly debating folks online, talking politics and chatting about life. When I got noticed by the coolest of chats, a radio host with an image that was rad. But then things turned and I got burned. He got angry when he got spurned. Brian Shapiro asked to see my penis. He growled his demand like it was his deepest wish. He threatened to box me and proceeded to berate. And now I'm the victim of this terrible penis gate. lie to myself in my second floor attic. My entire life just now feels like it's static. He says it's about a thing called respect, but it treats me as if I'm just an object. He said he wants to help me, but he just wants to see my weenie. Brian Shapiro asked to see my penis. He growled his demand like it was his deepest wish. He threatened to box me and proceeded to berate, and now I'm the victim of this terrible penis gate. Brian Shapiro asked to see my penis. He growled his demand like it was his deepest wish. To box me and proceeded to berate, and now I'm the victim of this terrible penis gate.
How about that gag where I pretended to be muted, you motherfuckers? Fuck! Well, I said some of the most incredible shit you'd ever heard. Let's read it backwards. Zach Gelpy, $5 muted, Rob. Yeah, you caught on to my ruse there. Wicked Wally, whose dad joke I screwed up, but you all couldn't hear. $5 says, this rips open the wound for us all, especially Rob. It's like he just asked to show it him all over again and again. No respect, yeah? Hellstorm, $10 says, criticizing Nick Fuentes triggers an army of grow-yappers to attack you. Criticizing Brian Shapiro triggers tumbleweed farts and crickets. Thank you. Wicked Wally, let's see if I get it this time. I told a guy I know, Michael Knowles, once. He told me, Michael don't even Knowles you. No respect, I tell you, no respect. Hellstorm, $10 says, Brian Shapiro is the concept of respect what Chris Benoit was to the concept of a family man. That's a deep wrestling cut. Birdie the dog says, I respect you. Probably not now that I'm muted. Hellstorm, $10 says, you ever see that movie Dinner for Schmucks? I wonder if Brian realizes he's the schmuck. And John Mitchell, $10 says, Brian's one bad way of becoming the liberal chud, the builder. You see the hate in his eyes as he talks to conservatives. No respect at all. Fucking hell, what an idiot! Listen. I got a little flustered, reliving Penis Gate. And now I'm scrolling up and seeing all the comments saying I was muted. No, we didn't do the goal thing yet. I can do it. Go! That's it. That's what you get for the goal thing. Gosh. What a fucking idiot I am. I'm absolute moron. Absolute moron. But we fixed it. We fixed it. That's the truth. Now listen, we have less people watching than normal, so I'm comfortable in saying this. This sort of defeats the purpose. I shouldn't say this. I have a bet with my wife. Now, I'm swearing you all to secrecy here. All right? Don't tell the rest of the watchers, the viewers, the neurons. This is the OG crowd. I know we could keep a secret. All right? Don't say anything. You ready? No, it's not her. You can't tell the rest of the audience. Okay. I bet my wife that someday, and I'm going to do this someday, I'm going to wait a while. I'm going to come up here and I'm going to stream at a random time. And I'm not going to say a word. And I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to read the news, do some research, play a video game, but none of that will be seen by you all. You'll just literally see this. For 2 hours, I won't say a word the whole stream. I'm not going to address the chat, nothing. And the bet I have with my wife is I could get to the goal of $357 without saying a word, I'll just title the video like test or bet. Now the chair stream's different. The chair stream was different because it was primed, and that's where I'm fucking up. I screwed up because I'm priming the audience. But none of you guys donate. All of you that are here now don't donate. And don't tell people. But the rest of them. Title like I'm searching for board, yeah. So don't say anything. We're going to keep that a secret. And then someone told me that I should just do a stream. And basically just do the stream like that. Just 2 hours of just muted. Just bring it up. Like, there we go. For the deaf, they're lip reading anyways. We are diverse. We have a diverse audience. Zach Kelpie, thanks for the $5. Says, okay, Rabbi, I understand. Don't donate and tell people don't donate as well. Got it. You got it. My evil, nefarious, Netanyahu-inspired plan here. Mr. Tiger Nuts, $5. Thanks, man. Says, man, as much as I can't stand Brian Shep, I miss y'all going back and forth. Have a hard time believing he really believes the crap he says. I don't know what to say. He is a character. That is for sure. Truly a character. Yeah, make it really weird, Grabs. That would be funny. Like, it's just like, yeah. It is a nefarious plan. It is. Hellstorm, $5 says streaming for the deaf. That's more inclusive than a radio show. It's about respect. That's right. Oh, there you go. Good things about Israel stream, 2 hours silent. Oh, shit. That'll get the Groypers back on track. No! Stop it. You give me PTSD. Oh, Lord. Photoshop giant boobs on me? All right, listen. I have to get up early tomorrow. Let me explain what I'm doing. I'm meeting, my son is at his grandma's today. Then tomorrow around 8 a.m., so I got to get up, shower, all that stuff beforehand. I'm meeting them, and then we're going to a little miniature zoo. We're going to make a day of it. It's going to be fun. I'm very excited. I love the zoo, and my son really loves it. And this little mini zoo we're going to, they got these little like 2-foot alligators, but there's like 30 of them. He fucking loves them. He thinks alligators are the coolest animal. So I'm very excited. It's the first time we're going this spring. So we'll play some whip songs here. Now, my mother-in-law, she calls me before I start streaming. And I was like, she's like, well, what time will you be up and around? And I was like, well, I'll try to be up and around by 8. And she's like, oh, okay, you're not streaming that late. And I was like, well, it depends. And she's like, well, it depends on what? And I was like, if I tell people, this is what happens. So has anyone ever had this experience? You're like, you're out with your friend calls you, or your friends call you, and they'll be like, hey, man, you want to go out to the bar? Let's go out to the bar for dinner. And you'll be like, all right, man, but I got work in the morning. So you go out, it's like 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, and you're having dinner. Your friend's like, have a beer. And you're like, all right, I'll have a beer. And then, like, as you're winding up dinner, like, let's do some shots. And you're like, come on, man, I got work in the morning. They're like, come on, one shot, you fucking pussy, do a shot. And you're like, all right. And then all night, they're like, come on, one more drink, one more. That's what the whip song thing's like. It's the same fucking thing. When you tell people, like, actually, I have to get up early, they're like, then we're going to be assholes and make you stay here all night. That's what's like. I've had that drinking situation many times in my life. Or this is different, but tangentially the same. I remember in high school, I had a bunch of friends that started chewing, right? And they would always be like, you want to rip, man? You want to rip? You want to rip? And I'd be like, I don't want to fucking rip. I don't want to chew, you know? But then if one of my other friends that did chew, like left their can at home or something, they'll be like, yeah, I'll take a rip. And they'd be like, fuck you, get your own can. I was always like, what is it? It's like, people are pusher men for fucking Copenhagen here? What are you doing? Anyways, Lavin will save me. He'll donate $200 to end whip songs that we could be done. We got Blasterbot and Wade Boggs, 2 whip song. Rules are simple. $100 donation plays a whip song from the wheel. Anytime at this point forward we cross an even $100 amount, the next one would be $500. We play a whip song from the wheel. $150, you could request the specific one you want. $200, we could make a song in a version that you want. So, for you laymen out there, if we donate $71 right now, that'd be 1 whip song. If you donate $100, that'd be 2 whip songs. 1 for passing 500 and 1 for the individual $100 donation. Why don't I just fucking make that like a... What I should do is just record that, and then I could just play that every time. I don't have to say it. Anyways, here we go. No, $20 whip's not happening. Okay. You know what I should do? Should I do this?
There's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the last says nay, nay, nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Well, there's a way, but there's a way. Well, there's a whip, there's a way. Well, there's a whip, there's a way. Well, there's a whip, there's a way. Well, there's a whip's a way. Well, there's a whip, there's a way. Right. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more, for we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war.
Kyle ran a mile, $5. Thank you so much, my friend. Always appreciate. Zach Gelpy 20 says, good night, folks. I gotta get up early in the morning to brief that on how well rubbed. Oh, well, thank you. Now we're talking. Well, shit. I was about to make fun of that, but thank you. And then, oh boy, what do we got here? Oh, Wade Boggs gives us another whip song. $50 says, quick, give another 20 for another song. Zach donated right in front of you, I assume. So nailed it. Two more then. Oh my goodness. Memphis rap as opposed to rap. Anyone here a Memphis rapper? I assume I could do it.
There's a way where there's a will. There's a way where there's a will. There's a way where there's a will. There's a way.
We don't wanna go to war today, but the Lord of the last says nay, nay, nay. With a march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a will, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left and right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. There's a will, there's a will. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Lord's war, Lord's war, Lord's war.
Yeah! Woo! One more. Whoopee! I can handle one. I can handle it. Okay. Hey, Dorothy, what's up?
There's a way, where there's a whip, there's a way. We don't want to go to war today, but the Lord of the Land says nay, 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 nay. We're gonna march all day, all day, all day. Where there's a whip, there's a way. 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 Left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Left, right. A crack on the back says we're gonna fight. We're gonna march all day and night and more. For we are the slaves of the Dark Lord's war. Where there's a whip, where there's a whip, there's a way. 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 Left, right, left, right, left. Where there's a way, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way. Where there's a whip, there's a way.
Oh, yeah, you toured the band? No shit. That's cool. I toured with a band. They were more like Creedence style. I didn't play. I literally just like roadied for them. You want to come up and say hi real quick, Dorothy, before we end the stream? Come on. Come here. Come here. Come here. Hop up. Fuck! Oh, sorry, Dorothy, I didn't mean... Come here. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to yell. Come on. I bumped it when I was bringing my dog up. Oh, Dorothy. Oh, Dorothy. I was reaching for the shock collar button and... oh, my goodness. You're such a good girl. Oh, oh boy. Oh, boy. You good girl. Hey, you good? Oh, yeah. She likes back scritches. You really get in there and scratch in the back. Oh, yeah. And sometimes you like between the eyes a little, huh? And behind the ears. Yeah, you like that. I did scare the dog. I yelled too loud. Sorry, I yelled. Sorry. I'll be done soon. Then we'll go potty. How's that sound? I just let her run around the house. I know I'm doing it all wrong. You're supposed to have a dog bed, not leave her get out of it, and then use the shock collar when she moves. I fuck all that up, I know. I'm not a good communist. It's unfortunate. All right, here's the deal. We're gonna rate... Holy shit, everyone's streaming tonight. My goodness. Well, I don't know. I'm gonna raid Andrew Wilson. He probably could use the views. It's been a fun night. if I would stick around and dick around more if I didn't have to get up early, but I do. So, what was, you didn't hear my answer? Was it because so the answer I have is this. With the debate jargon and stuff, believe it or not, I'm not that jargonistic. So like a lot of the fallacies and stuff, Andrew just ended, shit. A lot of the fallacies and stuff like that, you don't hear me use their names much. I really don't. Like, for me, it's not the style of debate I use. I sort of feel when something's a fallacy, but like, people be like, that's a Tukukwe fallacy, or that's, Pseudo authority fallacy. Most of the time I could get it, but I feel like that stuff's less important, personally. So for me, it's like, I don't know, but it's not a bad idea. And I think that Andrew's debate course does a good job. So, all right. Well, then we will raid. Who is on? Oh. Speakeasy. But yeah, fuck it. We'll raid Speakeasy. So, I have not. No, I'm not raiding Tony. Nope, we'll raid Speakeasy. So, all right. Well, hey, everyone. Thank you so much for the stream tonight. Really appreciate it. Like to thank all of my wonderful mods. Want to thank my editor, Black Elk, who's fantastic. Thank you to all of the people that donated tonight and all of the people who watched, subscribed, thumbs upped, all of that good stuff. Really appreciate it. Yeah, okay, about Tony. Since everyone's... I like Tony. Tony almost got my channel in trouble. He came on and he streamed stuff. I specifically wasn't talking about it, but everybody wants to... Okay, so we'll talk about it for a minute. I didn't really want to talk about a lot of the race stuff or whatever. That was fine. Tony showed a clip that I had to remove my video of that where it was gunfire. I like Tony a lot. I really do. I'm pushing against the message of the Jews do everything. The Jews are responsible for everything. So I really don't want to raid over to a channel that says the Jews are responsible to everything. I like Tony. I wish him well. I'm in campaign mode. So that's sort of where I'm at when it comes to the type of shows. It also, I think, negatively affects the algorithm if you're rating over to channels that could potentially get into those sort of things and the terms and stuff that don't really like you in the algorithm. So that's normally how I feel about that. So it's nothing against Tony, really not. It's just for the method of trying to steer things in the direction I want. And I've had people, I don't know if it's true or not, I've just had people tell me, like, you got to be careful with that shit. It affects your channel negatively, even if you're just rating over, or if you do like one of those collab videos and stuff like that. So that's it. It's no hard feelings. By all means, everybody go watch Tony. Totally cool. We're going to raid over to Speakeasy. So anyways, as we leave the show here, I just wanted to say thank you so much to everyone. Take a moment. Think of the life of Charlie Kirk, how he was assassinated, how the people cheered on that on the left. And when we talk about the stakes of the left right now that are packing the courts and stuff, we talked about with like the Nick Fuentes stuff, about the danger of sort of supporting Democratic Party and exactly what they want to do if they get power, right? Never forget what those stakes are. So say a prayer for Charlie and his family. God bless all of you. I will see you all Sunday for the next episode of I'm Speaking Now. So... all right, everyone. We'll talk to you all soon. As always, have a good one.
Only in America is it possible to say, you know what, I don't like the way the country is going, and to do something about it. Take that risk. Take that leap of faith. Stay involved. Trust God and act obediently. Romans 12:2 verse. That God will use all things for good for those who love him. It's bigger than you. I want you to remember that. It is bigger than you. It's bigger than me. You are here to make somebody else's life better, the pursuit of liberty and freedom. You know what gives me strength? The hundreds of thousands of you that say, Charlie, keep going.
1 Corinthians 5 and 15. So that's all pretty amazing evidence, not just intra-biblical evidence, but extra-biblical evidence that Jesus Christ was a real person. He lived a perfect life. He was crucified, died, and rose on the third day, and he is Lord and God of all.